Welcome to another video series from IRCRA for the Indian hobbyist. I'm sure all of you must be preparing well for the round 2 of the Indian RC Dirt series, and I'm sure most of you might be working on maintaining your cars and fixing all the problems and things like that. One of the important things that a lot of people tend to overlook while maintaining your cars is your bearings. I'm not sure if you can see it here. These are very small components, but they are very critical to a proper running RC car. Man invented the wheel, but also invented the bearings to be even smoother. So these bearings actually go into different places in an RC car. One of the most important places it actually goes into is the wheel bearings, okay, into the hubs. Okay, it's got two bearings, one on this side and one on the other side. And another critical place where the bearings actually go into is your diffs. Okay, all the three diffs. So you have two bearings on each side of the diff. Okay, one here and one here, and then also into where it meets the drive shafts. So you have multiple bearings that go into making of an RC car, and you have critical bearings in your engine clutch, and also in the servo savers. So maintaining the bearings or replacing them with infrequent times is very critical to having a well running car. So what I'm going to do today is, yes, of course, you can actually get bearings. You can just buy replacement bearings and start replacing all your bearings, but sometimes it can be a little expensive, as these small bearings can actually cost you perhaps $1.50, or in some cases with some expensive bearings like Mugen Seiki, it can cost you about $50 to $60 a set. So sometimes it might not be really economical to kind of replace all these bearings at one go. So sometimes it might be important for budget conscious hobbyists to actually clean these bearings, and it is definitely possible to clean these bearings with some care and a proper technique. So what I'm going to do to focus today is to basically show you how to clean these bearings and reuse them. Okay, these are the items that you would actually need to clean out the bearing and reuse them. Alright, first of all, you need to have the bearings. I'm not going to show you how to remove the bearings from the car. I mean, you should be able to do that with help from your manual, or you can probably watch a few videos to see how you can remove the bearings without damaging them. And another major thing that you would need here is a hobby knife. I'm sure you must have seen this equipment. It's actually a very sharp knife. You can actually buy this off the local hardware store, or perhaps if you want to order it from Hobby King, you can do it for something like 50 cents a piece. These are very sharp knives, and they have to be used with caution. They're basically used to pry out or remove the seals of the bearing. These are actually rubber seals, so I'll explain a little more about how the bearing is. So these are actually used to pry out the rubber seals of the bearing. And of course, you need to have some towels, tissue papers, and then this is what actually does the trick for us. Now I can actually focus this a little more for you. This is actually called an electrical contact cleaner. So it's basically a degreaser, okay? But it's safe. I believe it's safe on rubber because I've tested it before, and it is safe on rubber. You can actually buy this, or say perhaps any electrical contact cleaner off the market. Sometimes you might have to search in the hardware stores. This particular brand is called Anabond. It's a pretty popular manufacturer of sealants and glue and things like that. So you can actually buy this. It's called AB20. This is basically an electrical contact cleaner in a pressurized can. So this is the same item or same stuff as your Nitro Clean and all those RC specific degreasers that you get off the market. But this has worked pretty well for me, so I'm recommending it. And then of course you have bearing oil, because once you degrease the bearing, it removes out all the grease and everything that actually comes on it, so you have to re-oil the bearing for it to work. I've got this off AMain. It's called a Trinity motor bearing. I believe it's some kind of a very thin oil, but there are certain companies that suggest you can use 10W30 oil. I mean, I've seen that specifically on the Avid Bearings site, that you can use 10W30 automotive mobile oil, which is extremely thin. So, but you know, it's your choice. And I believe Max bearing oil is also has similar kind of amount, similar kind of items, which should be in India shortly. And you might be wondering what this thing is. Yeah, this is actually from RPM. It's called the bearing blaster. We're not going to use this today. I mean, it's just a fancy item. It's a nice to have, but definitely not necessary. You know, it's good for you know, freaks, gadget freaks. So how this works is it actually comes in two pieces. You open it up, and then you place the bearing on top of this, close it, and you can actually use the nozzle that comes along with the contact cleaner over here, and then just spray as hard as you can, and it'll actually drop out all the dirt and the grease to the bottom, which just comes out from the bottom. But this is not, like I said, it's not you know, it's not a required item, but it's always nice to have, because the electrical contact cleaner is pressurized, and you're likely to have some very cold fingers after you use this item. So in order to just, you know, save your fingers, you can probably use this, right? And then of course towels for catching out all the dirt that comes out on the other side. Now the first thing is to check the condition of the bearing. So the easiest way to check the condition of the bearing is just hold it on one finger like this, and then kind of rotate it to see how smooth it is. It definitely should not be gritty, because a lot of dirt gets deposited inside the bearing. So you can actually see there are two seals. Okay, there's a seal on this side, it's a rubber seal. There are metal shield bearings as well, but usually it's the rubber sealed bearings that's more common. And then you have a seal on this side. So it's basically the balls are actually inside this particular chamber, or whatever you call it, and there is grease or oil on the balls, and it's held together by these rubber seals. Okay, so what we have to do today is we have to use the hobby knife to pry out very carefully, because you can't damage the seals. You'll have to pry out the seals on both sides, and then, you know, spray it with the contact cleaner. Okay, it's a degreaser as well, so you have to spray it out and ensure that there is absolutely no grit, and then re-oil it with this bearing oil, and install the seals back, and you're ready to go. Okay, we have now the bearing in front of us. You can see there are seals on both sides. Okay, these are the black seals instead of the yellow seals that you saw before. Okay, and you can actually see it's quite dirty. Okay, there's a lot of you know, dirt, and in some cases even rust on the bearings. Alright, so what we're going to do right now is going to use the hobby knife. Okay, we have the hobby knife here, and we're going to pry out the seals of the bearing and expose the balls. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is hold the bearing really tight, idly place it flat, and use the hobby knife, end of the hobby knife, to carefully but you know, forcefully pry out the seals. So I think we can try from the inside, okay, rather than the outside. So it works much more easier if you try from the inside. So just use the hobby knife, and yes, so presto. So we have the bearing, one side of the bearing seal out. Alright, so you can see that it's just a rubber with some sort of a metal ring embedded into the seal. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing on the reverse. Alright, so it's out. So that wasn't too difficult, was it? So now if you have a look at the inside portion of the bearing very closely, try to focus it, you can actually see the balls, and you can actually see it's built with grease inside. So the whole idea is to kind of blast the bearings directly into the balls. You can actually see the grease portion, so you directly have to blast out dirt in that portion. Okay, like I said before, you can actually use the RPM bearing blaster if you want, but yeah, it's just nice to have gadget, but you really don't need it. Okay, so always use some sort of eye protection. I'm using this. Just use some sort of an eye protection when you use chemicals or toxic materials. Okay, so now we have the bearing well cleaned using the contact cleaner. So you can see it's kind of all the dirt is kind of moved out. All that is left behind is to use the bearing oil, and then just oil the bearings and reinstall the seals. So I've just gone ahead and installed one of the seals. All you have to do is just just place it on top of it and then just press it, so it'll just get sealed right back. Alright, so what you're going to do right now is going to use the bearing oil. The bearing oil usually comes with a needle, needle nose or whatever, needle applicator. So all you have to do is just put a few drops of oil. Okay, very little, 2 or 3 drops, and you can just press the seal back in, and then your bearing is ready to be installed. So this way you can save some dollars. But in case you feel that this is a time-taking process and you really don't have the time to do this, of course you can go ahead and buy some of these Avid bearings. They cost about $1 a piece. Extremely good bearings. I've used them, and a lot of people internationally use them. So you can get these bearings if you don't want to spend the time.